Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute Foster Care Online Training Webinar, Lice Prevention and Treatment. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, the founder and the director of the Foster Care Institute. I'm also a consultant, a trainer, an author, and a foster and adoptive parent myself. The goal of this webinar is to increase your awareness of the causes of lice and how to best treat this terrible, horrible skin condition. You're going to increase your awareness of lice and the causes and gain understanding of how to best treat this skin condition known as lice. Now, as you may know, I have been a foster and adoptive parent myself of well over a decade and have had over 50 children come through my home. I have had my fair share of lice in our household, and it is never a pleasant journey, to be sure. As you watch this webinar, you are probably having the sensation of itching going on in your own scalp. You may be imagining right now that your own hair and your own scalp is itching. You know, that's quite common when everyone talks about lice. So let's look at what lice is. Lice are small, tiny insects, often known as parasites. These tiny insects, these parasites, need human blood in order to survive. Now, lice can infect between 6 to 12 million people every single year. And as you may know, lice is most common in elementary and middle school youth. Children 12 years and under generally have lice in the common age group. Now, these parasites, these tiny insects, if you will, these lice, bite into the human scalp, resulting in an allergic reaction of sorts. This allergic reaction often causes intense itchiness. And for those of you who have had children with lice in your home, you recognize that this itchiness is most common at the nighttime. What makes it even more difficult is that the symptoms of lice often do not appear for several days or even several weeks after the initial outbreak. Now let's look at some of the myths that surround lice, some of those false assumptions, some of those truths that are in fact not true. Lice will not make you sick. Some people believe that lice spreads disease. In truth, lice does not spread disease. Another false assumption, or a myth, if you will, is that only people who are dirty or filthy or unclean get lice. Not true. One can be clean and one can shower or bathe often and still get lice. Finally, there's the belief that lice, these parasites, can fly or jump from one head or one body to another. To be sure, that is not true. Lice cannot fly. Lice cannot jump. There are no flying parasites. There is no jumping lice bugs. So, how does lice spread? Lice spreads most commonly from head-to-head contact. Imagine, if you will, two children in elementary school. One child has lice, the other does not. The child with lice sits close to the child who does not have lice. They come in contact with each other as they're playing, as they're roughhousing, as they're having fun, as children do. And during that head-to-head contact, lice can go from one person to the other person. Lice also spreads through combs and brushes when a person uses a comb or brush of another person who has lice. Lice may also spread from wearing hats or helmets that may have the parasites within them. Using pillows or blankets from those people who are infected with lice also helps to spread these parasites. Crawling on carpets. If the lice nits or eggs are in the carpet and the child crawls across the carpet, lice can spread that way. Finally, in today's society, earbuds and headsets are becoming very, very popular with youth. Those lice parasites and eggs can be within those earbuds and headsets and spread through that as well. Now let's look at some of the symptoms from lice. As you know, a person who is infected with lice has an intense feeling of itchiness, and I stress the word intense. There is a feeling, or the sensation, if you will, that something is moving on your head. In fact, when we often discuss lice in public or with others, that sensation, that feeling often comes across us. In fact, you may be having that feeling or sensation yourself right about now. My friend, you probably do not have lice. It's just that sensation, an unconscious sensation. Finally, red bumps on a scalp or a head or a neck is another symptom from lice. Those who have lice often have a very difficult time sleeping. They have this difficult time sleeping due to the itchiness. People with lice often become irritable or easily frustrated. This irritability, if you will, comes from that intense itchiness that they feel. And finally, another symptom of lice is the visual of where you can visualize, you can actually see the nits, the white objects, or the lice eggs in the hair. Do children in foster care have lice? Not necessarily. Just because a child is in foster care does not mean they have lice. Yet, children in foster care often do get lice due to the conditions that we saw earlier. Head-to-head contact from pillows or hats or helmets or whatever it may be. So it is not uncommon for your child in foster care to have lice. Indeed, sometimes a child may be clean from lice, have been treated from lice, go to a visitation with a family member, and come back with lice again. Reinfected, if you will. Reinfested, perhaps, is a term we should use. How does one identify lice? Well, let's look at the 3 different stages of lice. To begin with, there are the eggs. These eggs are otherwise known as nits. Now, a lice egg, or nit, if you will, hatches generally between 6 to 9 days after being laid in the hair, in the scalp, in the head. These nits are usually found 4 to 6 millimeters above the scalp or from the scalp. They are quite difficult to spot at first glance. This picture here shows you what nits or lice eggs look like. You can see they are small, white or yellowish circular objects. Those are the lice eggs. They are very difficult to get out of the hair due to a glue-like substance upon the eggs that has the eggs cling to the hair. The second stage of lice are known as the nymphs, or the baby lice. Singular word for lice is louse. Indeed, lice is plural for louse. One louse, many, many, many lice. Now these nymphs, these lice, this louse, if you will, avoids light and is often difficult to locate in the child or person's hair that is infected. One often has to dig through a hair, if you will, dig through the scalp, if you will, hunt or search for these lice, this louse, these nymphs. Finally, these baby lice feed on the blood of the person's scalp. And there you can see the development of the lice as they grow in size. Not a pretty sight. You can see that they are indeed quite small. Their size makes it difficult to locate. Adult lice are about 2 to 3 millimeters long, not long at all. They are a gray or a tan color. Adult lice have 6 legs and they have claws. These claws enable them to cling ever so tightly to the hair strand, which makes them very difficult to get off. This lice will cling for all it's worth with its 6 legs and claws, again, making it very, very, very difficult to get out. And generally, an adult louse, if you will live roughly 30 days. And there you have it, a picture of an adult louse. Now, let's look at some ways one can prevent getting lice to begin with. And then we shall look at various ways to treat lice. Well, to begin with, if you wish to prevent one from getting lice, perhaps prevent your own child from foster care, prevent yourself from getting lice. It is so very, very important that your child or even you does not share a hairbrush, a comb, a hairpin, or even hats with somebody else. Now, when a child in foster care goes to school, or even goes to a visitation with a birth parent or biological family member, if you will, it's not unusual for a child to have his hair combed. At school, they may use a friend's comb to brush their hair. At a visitation, the birth mother, the birth father, the grandparent, the biological family member, if you will, may wish to comb that child's hair in a moment of tenderness, in a moment of connection, in a moment of trying to establish some type of relationship, and in a moment to soothe and comfort the child. Well, this is how lice can be spread. Another way to prevent lice is to wash the bedding and clothing of somebody you suspect may have lice on a regular basis. Vacuuming the floor and cleaning the furniture is another way to prevent lice if the eggs, the nymphs, or the adult lice might be hiding within them. To be sure, there are several ways to treat lice. Some of them proven, some of them not so proven, as you're going to see. Some of them are ways that have been passed from one generation to another, or maybe it might be mommy's favorite way to look at it. We're going to look at all of those ways to treat lice. Now, first of all, do not panic. Do not panic if you suspect or even see that a child living in your home has lice. Yes, lice is no fun, and I can attest to that as a foster home who has had 27 different cases of lice in my home through the 56, 57 children that have come to live in my home. Oh no, it is no fun. It is no picnic. It is no day in the sun. Yet, if you notice or find out that a child in your home does have lice, or comes home from a visitation with lice, or from school with lice, or is placed in your home with lice, do not panic. When you panic, you will only upset the child more so. And then you have two problems. You have a child who is very, very upset, full of anxiety, perhaps crying or maybe even screaming, and you have lice on your hands. No, you must stay relaxed. You may be panicking inside, and I can understand that, but on the outside, remain calm, remain cool, and relax. Remember, lice will not make you sick. Lice will not make the child sick. Yes, incredibly uncomfortable. Yes, very, very itchy. Yes, they may become irritable, but they will not become sick. Finally, be prepared for a long, long battle ahead as you battle that lice, as you look to defeat that tiny parasite that is in that child's head. Because this is not something that is going to go away quickly. This is not a quick fix, so to speak. In truth, you might be fighting these lice for a few nights or even up to a week or so. Perhaps the most popular method of treating lice is picking out each lice individually with your fingernails or with your fingers, or using a special lice comb. Not lice comp there, but a lice comb, using a special lice comb. These combs are specially designed to treat lice, and you can find them at your grocery store or your convenience store, or you can find them online. Now, most comb or pick out you must comb or pick out every single lice parasite and every single lice egg or infestation will continue. It will continue to the next night, the next week. Now imagine this. You are picking out all of the live lice parasites and you miss a few eggs. Well, we saw earlier that it could take a couple days for an egg to hatch. So even if you miss just one egg, that egg will hatch, become lice, and create even more lice, and the cycle will continue. So as you comb out or pick out the lice with your special comb, you must ensure that you comb or pick out every lice parasite and egg. This is time consuming. This will take time, and this is why you must remain calm and patient, because you must have a calm and patient child as you comb through his or her hair. Now there are some special lice shampoos available. One of them contains Permethrin, which is a natural shampoo made from the flower chrysanthemum. This special shampoo attacks the nervous systems of live lice. Unfortunately, these special shampoos are not 100% effective. You will not kill every single lice with this special shampoo. When you use Permethrin, it needs to be applied to the hair. Drench the hair with it, if you will, and let the shampoo stand in the hair for 10 minutes or so. Afterwards, you rinse with water, and then with your special comb, you comb out the nits. Now, as we saw in the previous slide, it is not 100% effective. Thus, you need to repeat this application with a special shampoo a few days later to get those that you missed. Because as we saw earlier, even if you miss one egg, that one egg can hatch and turn into several more lice. Thus, the cycle continues. Permethrin is an over-the-counter product. When you apply Permethrin, you dampen and wet the hair before you apply. You saturate the head with Permethrin and you let stand for 10 minutes, much like the special shampoo. After this, you comb out the nits. Now with Permethrin, there may be an allergic reaction, so look for an allergic reaction and read labels carefully. Some studies show that heat from a hairdryer is effective in killing the nits. These studies have also shown that a heat from a hairdryer is less effective in killing live parasites. If you should choose to use a hairdryer with the heat, please note that this is not scientifically proven, and never use hairdryer on a hair that has been treated with any sort of chemical application you may have used previously, due to the possibility of the hair catching on fire. Now, Spinosad is a prescribed lotion that contains a natural insecticide from a bacteria that is found in the soil. Like a shampoo, you smother the hair and the scalp with this lotion. And again, you allow it to sit for about 10 minutes before washing and then rinsing, and then with your special nit comb, combing. And this takes some time. Now, a Spinosad may cause an eye or skin irritation. Another lotion that comes from the bacteria found in the soil is ivermectin. Now, this lotion paralyzes and kills the lice and kills the eggs. Like the shampoo and others, you apply to hair, but you apply to dry hair for 10 minutes, and then you rinse, and then you comb out the nits. Those lice nits that have been paralyzed, and the eggs as well. Now, there is a popular one out there called shrink wrap. That is the popular name. Shrink wrap is not actually used. You do not actually use a true shrink wrap. Instead, you use a gentle skin cleanser, a non-toxic Cetaphil brand skin cleanser, apply it to the dry hair, and then you comb out the lice and blow dry the hair. And you repeat this every 3 to 4 days. So if you're Googling lice prevention and you come across shrink wrap, this is what it's referring to. Now, many people will swear that olive oil is a wonderful way to get rid of lice. Indeed, according to some studies, lice does suffocate under layers of olive oil. Yes, a natural ingredient of olive oil. This natural ingredient needs to be applied overnight. The oil needs time to cut off the breathing from the lice, as the olive oil suffocates the lice and clogs up their breathing spots. Now, you apply it on the hair, you apply the olive oil all throughout the hair, then you place a shower cap over the head and allow the child to sleep. In the morning, wake up a little bit early and comb out the lice and then wash the hair. Some suggest that mayonnaise kills off lice. There are those reports that indicate that mayonnaise is an effective way. Some reports state that it is not. Yet some will swear to you that mayonnaise is one way to do it. If you should choose to use mayonnaise, you apply it like olive oil, where you saturate the hair with the mayonnaise and then you put on a cover over the hair, and in the morning you rinse it and comb it out. And then you repeat 1 week later. Vinegar has been shown in some studies to get rid of lice. The acetic acid in the vinegar helps when you comb out the lice, as the acetic acid helps to allow the lice to decling, if you will. It stops them from clinging to it. There is no evidence to support this, but there's some suggest that this is one way to do it. The most popular form of vinegar is the white vinegar. Another popular method that is not proven, hairstyling gel, or petroleum jelly, if you will. Some suggest that the petroleum or the hairstyling gel suffocates the lice by clogging the breathing holes. If you should choose to use hairstyling gel or petroleum jelly, you apply it just like the olive oil, where you saturate the head, place a covering over the head, and in the morning you comb it out and you rinse the child's hair. A professional nit picker? Oh yes, they do exist. Indeed, my own wife has used a professional lice picker for one of our children from foster care. If you should choose to go this route, make sure that the person you are contracting with is a member of the National Association of Lice Treatment Professionals. Check and see that they are registered with the National Association of Lice Treatment Professionals to verify, to validate that they're going to do a professional job. Now, a Louse Buster, indeed, what a term, right? A Louse Buster looks like a very small vacuum cleaner. This Louse Buster, this small vacuum cleaner, if you will, blasts the heated air toward the hair, toward the roots, towards the scalp of the infected area of the lice eggs and the lice itself, and it dries out the living lice and it dries out the eggs. These small vacuum cleaners have a comb attached to it where you can comb out the lice eggs afterwards. It takes roughly 30 minutes of blowing the child's hair with the heated air. Finally, some studies indicate that Lindane shampoo is one way to kill lice and the lice eggs. Be warned, this is a neurotoxin that does indeed kill lice eggs and lice itself, but it can cause some serious side effects. Lindane shampoo is only recommended for those who have tried every single other way to get rid of lice, and those have failed. If you are struggling, if you used everything else, if you've used the special shampoos and the lice comb, if you've used the olive oil or the mayonnaise, if you've used the Louse Buster, the professional lice picker, and you're still struggling to get rid of that last lice or those last eggs, and you feel you need to use Lindane shampoo, I strongly encourage you to talk to your doctor first. Again, Lindane shampoo can have serious side effects. Now, hopefully, by the end of this webinar, your head is no longer itching. And hopefully, by the end of this webinar, you have now many possibilities, many ways, many ideas, if you will, on how you can best treat lice. You also know how to prevent it from happening in the future for a child. For more on this, visit the website, the Foster Care Institute. Find me on Twitter. Find me at Facebook. And of course, email me with questions about this webinar or other topics related to foster care and adoption as well at drjohndegarmo@gmail.com. We all struggle as a foster parent. It is not an easy job, to be sure. I encourage you to pick up the copy of the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide, the essential guide for today's foster parents, where we discuss all of the challenges related to foster parenting. And we have several other books as well for you on sale at the Foster Care Institute, in good bookstores everywhere, and of course on Amazon.com. Thank you so much for being part of this foster care training webinar. Thank you for caring for children in need. Thank you for deciding to serve those who suffer. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo.